vor allem bekannt für die Mafia. Mich interessiert es, wie es heutzutage noch um die Mafia steht, und deswegen treffe ich mich mit Edoardo Zaffuto von der Bewegung Addiopizzo. Addiopizzo bedeutet übersetzt Auf Wiedersehen Schutzgeld. An dieser Bewegung nehmen Restaurants, Bars und alle möglichen Unternehmen, vor allem in Palermo, teil, die sagen, ich möchte kein Schutzgeld mehr an die Mafia zahlen. Diese Bewegung wächst, und was genau dahinter steckt, das erfahren wir gleich im Interview.
Der Addiopizzo-Ableger Addiopizzo Travel veranstaltet ein- bis mehrtägige Touren für Reisende und unterstützt damit Unternehmen, die sich gegen die sizilianische Mafia Cosa Nostra wenden, indem sie kein Schutzgeld mehr zahlen.
The tour we offer as Addiopizzo Travel, the one that is more requested, is called the Palermo No Mafia Tour. Yeah. Okay, and still there are a lot of travelers who, when they plan to travel to Palermo, they Google mafia tours, and some of, they end on the no-mafia tours, and some of them are surprised that it's not what they were looking for. They wanted something about the Godfather,
Yeah, sure.
But some of them are curious about that. They get more information. They say that maybe this is what we should do rather than a mafia tour.
Yeah.
And so somehow one of the goal, or one of the mission, part of our mission as Addiopizzo Travel is to talk to the people who are interested in mafia tours and to tell them that mafia is not as glamour as they could expect, as the Godfather movies were suggesting. And we want to tell the people about the real mafia. Yeah. We want to tell them about how different is Sicily compared to the one that they have in their mind, because of the media, because of Hollywood, and because of just they never really traveled in Sicily, or not recently. Yeah. We want to tell about the changes that some of them I can tell you I could see with my eyes in my lifetime. Some of them are still in progress, and you can see them, And so it's Addiopizzo Travel's mission is, of course, to help the change, because Addiopizzo Travel is like a branch of the Addiopizzo organization, and we support the business who refuse to pay. In our tours, the hotels, the restaurant are all members of this mafia-free network. Yeah. But also there is a cultural goal that is we want to tell the people what Sicily really is, what the mafia has done to our territory, our people, and what people are doing against the mafia right now.
Yeah. You started in 2004, and I don't know, you wanted to make a bar, and you didn't.
Not us personally. I'm gonna tell all the story. Yes. Mm-hmm. Daniele and I are co-founder of Addiopizzo, but and we've been with Addiopizzo since the beginning, since 2004. But to be more exact, the very first people who had the idea of that bar, of that pub, were friends of ours. And so these 7 people, like boys and girls, basically my age. Daniele is a little bit younger than me. But in 2004, we were discussing of the possibility of starting a business in Palermo, in particular, like a sort of a fair trade pub, So with the idea of an ethical aspect of that, And they were just talking about that, and one of them was in charge of writing a draft of a business plan, and he put the item pizzo among the list of the expenses you have to afford when you start a business. Yeah, it was to provoke. It was a provocation, of course. Yeah. But in 2004, the situation in Palermo was really different compared to nowadays. So pizzo was something so normal, so let's say part of the general culture of the general economic environment of Palermo, basically, that you were not, you had to really to think of this possibility when you were even starting a business. So imagine the situation in Palermo in 2004 was, you know, the mafia was not as violent, evidently violent like it was in the 80s, let's say, you know, because after the murders of Falcone and Borsellino in 1992, the mafia, you know, came back to the traditional strategy of low profile, making business but silently, you know, and that was the moment in which Pizzo was very spread, because it was like one of the most traditional and typical crimes, business of the mafia. And so in 2004, the shop owners who were paying the Pizzo, they were a lot. And anyway, you know, the Pizzo was connected, let's say, in everyone's mind with the murder of Libero Grassi. There was an entrepreneur killed 1 year before them, so 1991. So Libero Grassi represented, I would say, the typical story. The typical story, actually, before Addiopizzo was everybody pays, nobody wants to speak about that. If someone alone try to rebel, he will be isolated and then smashed by the mafia, either killed or just its business could be destroyed. I mean, the story had always an, you know, a sad ending, basically, so imagine that between Addiopizzo, between Libero Grassi, the murder in 1991, and Addiopizzo 2004, very, very few people had the courage to go to the police. And anyway, you know, they didn't really become symbols of a new wave of rebellion. Libero Grassi tried to do it in 1991. He did not only report the mafiosi to the police. I mean, he made them arrested, but he also, you know, went on the national TV to speak about his choice, the reason about his choice, to explain why it was necessary other shop owners and businessmen to team up and do the same. But at the time it was too early, probably, and he was completely isolated by. Also by his colleagues and by the association of the entrepreneurs who attacked him for his choice. Even yes, imagine that instead of saying, Mr. Grassi, go on, we are with you, they said, why are you doing that? I mean, you are just, you want just to make some commercial about your activity. They accused him to be a protagonist, you know, crazy of protagonism, you know. And so for the mafia, when the mafia identify the situation, it's easier to kill people. I mean, if they are supported by the community, of course, they will think about the possible consequence of when you are alone, it's easy for the mafia to kill him. So that was the situation of in the years of Libero Grassi. Between Libero Grassi and Addiopizzo, everybody were paying money and keep silent, you know, and then eventually with the first stickers of Addiopizzo, something changed in terms of breaking the silence. Let's go back to the story of the seven.
They came like by night, right? Like
Yes.
The stickers.
Yes, imagine that. Yes, the 7 people who you know, were discussing about the pub. Facing that crazy business plan that said Pizzo is an expenses like the electric light, you know. They said no, we don't want to pay. But how? You know, it's easy to say no, but how about when they will knock at our door? You know. And so another guy of that group basically had the idea of these stickers. I'm gonna just show one of them of this sentence, you know, un intero popolo che paga il pizzo è un popolo senza dignità. So the first stickers look like this, you know. That says I knew it in German too.
I think it's like I pay for who does not.
No, that's the name of the campaign. That's the name of the consumer campaign. I paid those. This means an entire all against folk who pays Schutzgeld is a folk on a dignity, against folk. Ganz altogether? No, no.
Unser ganzes Volk, ja.
Mein ganzes Volk zahlt Schutzgeld, yeah? Is a
ist ein Volk ohne Würde.
Ohne Würde, yeah, exactly. So it was a very effective message, you know. Yes, by night. So the guy who proposed this phrase, he said to his friends, "Why don't we paste stickers with this?" Sentence, and we can, when we print stickers and we can paste them by night around town. And so they did it. It was 2004, and the next morning everybody was discussing, talking about these stickers and the message and so on, and the newspapers, the local TV. It was very effective, first of all, in breaking the silence, you know. And also, you know, in focusing these aspects that were, let's say, somehow people did not want to see them. Right? So creating awareness of the consequence of paying pizzo for the entire community, not just for the single businesses, and about the fact that not just the shop owners and businessmen pay the pizzo, but the entire community, as consumers, are contributing to the mafia, are giving money to the mafia through them, indirectly. Yeah. So it's like, for the first time, it says pizzo is our problem. It's a community problem. It's not just a shop owner's problem. And so, you know, after these stickers, very quickly in the following days, the groups of 7 people start to grow, and in few days it was like a movement, a grassroots movement of more or less 40 people, and so yes, and so Daniele and I were already there, and for 1 year we've been doing anonymous actions of mainly with the stickers, but communication actions with stickers, with then later with banners on the bridges, on the stadium. After that, when we made them public, it was easier to go to the shop owners and say, you know, it was something like, we know that you are thinking of libero gassi. That was a loan. We cannot promise anything to you. We can only promise that we will be by your side, and you will be not alone, because there are 3,500 additional people who are ready by your side, who are ready to support you as soon as you will become member of this campaign. And so, little by little, on the next year, we collected 100 business. We published a booklet like this with 100. Now, 1,000. Yeah, but so they've been slowly growing year after year. The growth rate is very slow, but because there's still a strong resistance. But the good thing is that the pago chi non paga, I pay who does not pay campaign works very well, because basically as soon as you join Addiopizzo, you are very safe. I mean, there is protection in the number, there is a sense of protection because our organization supports you in very many ways, because townspeople supports you with there was only one moment at the beginning in which one of them was sort of under attack. It was 2007, so the very beginning. A manufacturer was tortured by the mafia, and the good thing was that the reaction to that attack was very strong. So the community was ready to support him, the organization, Addiopizzo in particular, and even the government was ready to support them.
But how? Like?
Yes. So in Italy we already had a law for the refunding the victims of the mafia. Mm-hmm. So if the business owner can demonstrate that the attack, the arson, the damage was an attack by the mafia, he can get a reimbursement using the funds that are like, again, funds of collected by the asset confiscated from the mafia, you know. Yeah. And it's a very good law, but it's slow because, of course, you know, you want to be sure that the arson, you know, it could be someone who make the arson and then they want to get the money, yeah. You know. So in the past, this law didn't work because sometimes while they were waiting for the bureaucracy time, you know, so the business failed before getting the money, and that was a very a failure. So the mafia succeed also when they can make the shop the rebel, like he lose his shop or his business, you know. And while in 2007 there was a lot of push the pressure on the government to be quick, so he was given a new warehouse for free where he could start the business immediately, so after a few months. And yes, and we were also lucky because eventually the police arrested the mafia bosses who ordered to destroy the business. So for the first time in Palermo, there was this unexpected happy ending of the story, you know. So the mafia used the typical scheme, the typical, let's say, attitude. Okay, so you don't want to pay, I show what you get if you rebel, so I give the message to the other ones. And there was something like, even with Addiopizzo, nothing has changed. You say, if you're all together, you know, the mafia will stay away from us. It's not like that. I mean, so it was a very critical moment for us, because if the Guayana company failed, also the Addiopizzo would have failed at the very beginning of this. Yeah. So it was we would have lost our credibility, you know. So the idea itself, and so somehow this unexpected ending of the story start to create a new narration. So I would say yes, after 2007 in particular, the typical loop of the mafia threaten, you know, attack and disaster was somehow inverted, you know. So in this case, you know, the community together with the institution, together with you know, the association, won that battle, you know, and it was actually the first time. And so now after that the mafia changed its strategy for protection money. So you may have already noticed that in Palermo some shops.
We also were yesterday in a restaurant and we checked it also on your website if it's
yes, and it was. What was that?
It was with S. I took it right.
Anyway, so at the very beginning of the campaign, we said, okay, you should put this sticker on the window so you can attract the consumers, the critical consumers. You know, it's kind of, you know, you label your shop and it means in my shop whatever you will spend, even €1, there's nothing that will go to the mafia. It's a guarantee for the consumer. But we realized very soon that this sticker also keep the mafia away. So
really?
Yes.
Because we thought about before, like, are these people, the owners, are they not afraid? If they have it, that the mafia would come, like, hey, give me your money, and they say, well.
When we started, when we had to convince the very first 100, that was a question. Is that okay? I would like to do it, but why should I put a label that overexposed me? Yeah. And we said, we were not sure about that at the beginning, but we said we think that the more you express your choice, the more you say loudly, I'm not inclined to pay, the more the mafia will stay away from you. We were not sure about that, but a few years later, we had the proof, we have the evidence of that, and the mafia gave us this evidence. So many mafiosi that have been arrested on the last years, some of them, you know, they turn to give information about the mafia. We say pentiti, so they, in order to get some benefit, they confess, they say something about the mafia organization, you know? Ah, okay. It's I don't know how it's super grass in English, but
früher aus dem Gefängnis rauskommen. Also, ja, I understand.
Yeah, okay. And many of them, when they were interviewed about the pizza request, they said that no, we were not going to the Addiopizzo shops because they are, you know, I can quote them. One said during the trial, we were not stupid. We knew that we could be immediately reported to the police. There was no chance to get some money from them. We were scared. I mean, all them.
Mafia was scared.
Yes. Of course, the low-level extortionists that work for the mafia family that controls the territory was personally worried because, of course, the mafia boss sent him to extort the business, but of course then it's more likely that he will be arrested if he do not confess who is the boss. Only the extortionist will go to the will go to the jail. You know.
What about you? Are you not afraid?
No, I was a little bit worried at the very beginning when we started with the stickers in 2004, and because we were a group of 40 people, as I said, and in fact we were doing it anonymously. We were like doing always by night. We didn't know exactly how the mafia could react. I was in charge of the website, and I remember that when I had to update the pages, I didn't want to do it from my house, you know. On the internet cafe, like watching around, updating it, and then next time in another internet cafe, because in particular because we didn't know the mafia enough to understand how could they react about that. And it was something actually pretty new, and so yes, it was. We were prudent, but at the same time, there was sort of enthusiasm of doing that, you know, like something that break the rules somehow, the rules of the mafia. But anyway, the rules, you know. My parents were worried about me more than I was. I guess so. Yeah. And then eventually, when you know, from the activists, we started to become like we had some supporters, and then after, you know, 100 shops and business, 3,500 consumers, and then you know, more and more supporters. We don't count the consumers anymore. Of course, it's like when we realized that in general, the community was supporting us, was encouraging us, was on our side, and at the same time we also realized that how the mafia think, let's say, how the mafia, as I said, I mean, attacks only if they can expect not. So they basically weight the benefits and the risks very smartly, and so far we realized that probably they think that it's too risky to attack one of us because it's. There will be a lot of backlash, like when they did it with Falcone and Borsellino. Falcone and Borsellino was a big mistake in their strategy because it provoked all the rebellion that started in '92, and Addiopizzo is basically part of that rebellion, let's say. So I would be more scared again if I see that things changes in terms of people are not interested in in supporting the campaign anymore, or there is like a lack of attention on the problem, or of course you never know if another boss will come up and it will be a very violent one. He probably could do something that nowadays bosses would consider mistakes, you know.
Yeah.
But nowadays I think that I could see that year after year more and more people feel encouraged to wear anti-mafia shirts and go around, or you know, the numbers of the shops grows even if very slowly, but anyway, you know, they grow. The media too. I mean, when you feel that there is an attention also from the international community, you feel that you know perfectly that the mafia take it in count. You know,
but
yeah.
Are there still a lot of shops that pay pizzo?
Yes, they are. We don't have numbers, so we cannot actually really make an estimation about that.
Yeah.
We are sure, of course, that the number is you know, way different compared to 2004, and we know that you know, the ones who are not in this list. Of course, it's not necessarily paid.
Yeah,
no?
sure.
Yeah. So we know that it would be better, of course, if they had the courage to join. But still, we know that among the ones that are not a member of Addiopizzo, it increased the inclination to refuse to pay, you know, even for those who don't want to join Addiopizzo. So in general, the change is a cultural change. So it impacts, of course, the 1,000, but impacts the rest of them. So there is less and less. It's less and less necessary to be super brave to say no to the mafia. Yeah. You know, some of them they did it. And they didn't even, for their own reason, they didn't even think that it was necessary to join Addiopizzo, you know?
Yeah, but they still say, okay, I don't want to pay. But what about like small, like maybe family shops with an older woman? I guess she is more afraid of saying no to the mafia, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I think we have to make a distinction. If you have been paying money to the mafia for a long time, it's not possible to say no.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, you will have immediate consequences. You know. So in that case, the only way out is to go to the police. And it would be better if you go to the police together with Addiopizzo, because we can assist you and give you all the support. But when I say that people say no, it's like I describe a typical attitude is the mafia want to extort an area of Palermo where they in general the shops did not pay yet, you know, and so they start to put the super glue, you know, the glue on the keyhole of the shutter of the. So by night there is an extortionist who is in charge of putting the glue on the keyhole. Where you put the key. And so the next morning, the shop owners want to open the shop and find the glue and understand perfectly the message. This is in Palermo, at least in Sicily. This is a message from the mafia that says if you want to open your shop, you have to pay protection money. You have to start to pay now, you know. And so it worked like that even in the past. But in the past, when the shop owners find the super glue, they usually were asking to the other shop owners, who do I have to pay to? You know, so they were like they had to find themselves the person they had to pay in order not to have trouble. Yeah, that was a typical, again, the typical story. You find a glue, you do not call the police, you understand that this is an intimidation and a message by the mafia, so you ask who is the person I have to pay.
So the mafia makes you to go to come to them.
Yes, and that was the standard.
Yeah, I always thought like the mafia comes to you and say, hey, give me money.
No, I thought. No. They can do it, but they don't want to act like arrogant, or they usually say, hey, you know, you're not making your duty, or you know. There is no even need at the beginning to threat, like the message, you may have trouble, or you may have problem, it arrives later. Usually it's like, you know, here it works like that you have to pay to the family that organize everything. So it's like making you feel that you are wrong because you don't pay, you know, or like, or sometimes they use expressions like, we are making a collection for the people in jail. So like, this is a donation for the people in jail. So part of the money of Pizzo goes to the mafiosi, to help the mafiosi in jail for their lawyers, for the expenses. So, or like they just say, you have to put your business, they say, in order. You have, it's like do your duty, you know. So it's like you're not paying your taxes. But this is the sense of the message. Then, of course, if you don't want to pay, then they can start to say, you know, you may have problems, you may have troubles, you're gonna have, and then it can become also a little bit more violent, aggressive, and they start the damage, they start the phone calls with threats and so on. But it's a very, very slow escalation. Usually the very first step is the super glue. And in the past it was enough, because of course, you know, so nowadays the story is that the most part of those who find the super glue, either they don't pay, or they call the police and say, the mafia put the super glue here. So when I say that having the courage to say no to the mafia, it's not like if you paid for 10 years then you stop. No, this is not possible. But now you find the super glue and you don't think to look around to find your extortionist. Because in general, culturally, people have been changing, and also because of the generational changes. Now the people, young people who are starting business or who are starting to run their parents' business, they don't think that Pizzo is normal like their fathers and mothers used to do. They don't think that it's socially acceptable. They think of the consequence for the community of paying Pizzo. Basically, the message of Addiopizzo arrived also way behind the 1000. That's the thing. now some of them who want to join Addiopizzo, sometimes they come here and say that when we ask why you are here, what made you decide to join Addiopizzo, and some of them say, you know, the first time I heard about pizzo was at school because you went to my school. We started this school project basically in 2005, at the beginning of our campaign, 2006 maybe. And so it's like now the people who grow with a different culture, now they start their business, and they don't consider the pizzo like something that acceptable anymore. Yeah.
But how much do they have to pay normally when the mafia says, okay, give you money?
Yeah, so it's in proportion with the size of the business.
Oh,
and so usually the mafioso, you know, watch the business and make an estimation of how much they can ask. So it varies a lot, but let's say a middle-sized business in Palermo center could pay like 200 or 300 per month.
That's quite a lot.
That's quite
just
a lot,
for nothing.
For nothing, not
to be built or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Smaller shops pay less. Even sometimes, you know, I've been in one of those street markets.
Yeah. Even they have to pay.
Well, they pay. Sometimes we discovered that they paid 10 euros per month. Nothing. Yeah. So they can really think that is a donation.
Yeah.
But again, the mafia is more interested in everyone to accept paying something, you know.
Oh, okay.
And it's not important for them to get a lot of money from one business, but
they want the control.
They want to control, yes. Yeah. And in fact, basically, when the mafia asks money, they are not just asking money; they are asking a legitimation of their power. So they are asking, "Do you recognize me as the authority here? If you do, you will pay, of course, consequently. You know, if you don't want to pay, you are refusing to obey. You know, you are a rebel. You know, and so this is why I need to smash you down. You know, because you know, I cannot accept someone to say I don't recognize your power. You know, so it's really for controlling the territory. So they need to have many people who accept to say, yes, you are the one in charge here, you are the one that controls this territory. And yes, I was thinking on the other side also that big business may pay a lot more than 200 per month. And so, for example, the construction business, when they win a public work, so they have to pay a percentage of the contract, so 2-3% of the contract, so 1,000 euros. Yeah.
Eine mutige Organisation, die schon einiges bewegt hat. Wer als Reisender Addiopizzo unterstützen will, kann entweder in Restaurants essen gehen, die kein Schutzgeld mehr bezahlen, oder an einer geführten Tour von Addiopizzo Travel teilnehmen.